today's spotlight is on author Frank Jordan. Hey, Frank, how's it going? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no question. So let me quickly introduce you to our audience. Frank Jordan was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, where he was fascinated with the unmentioned and untold culture and history of African Americans. This prompted Frank to write 7 Black history books, including 2 Amazon bestsellers in 2012 and 2014. He received many literary awards, including a 2018 Book of the Year at the Nat Turner Museum for his book, Uncovering the Evil of America: What the FDA and CDC Failed to Tell You. He believes his job is to educate African Americans on the unmentioned greatness and genius of what we have achieved and contributed and accomplished throughout the earth. Frank, I'd like to thank you for joining us. And I'd like to
Thanks
let
for
our
having me.
audience know we've added a link to the description so you can check out his books on Amazon. So thank you for joining us,
Okay.
Frank.
Hey, thanks for having me. I listen. I appreciate you more than you know. Thank you.
All right. So to start things out, I want to simply ask, how are you holding up during the pandemic? And also, I wanted to give you a chance to add anything we might have missed from your bio, or maybe something we can't Google about.
No, that's fine. I want to say all praise to the Most High. That's one thing that you missed. You got to give honor and praise to the Supreme Being. But how am I doing during the pandemic? I'm staying safe. You can't believe everything that you hear. Number one, it's something that's out there that's pretty much decreasing the popularity and decreasing the population. uh but in a sense, like you said, we can just be safe, um and just the most important thing is change your diet. That's the most important thing.
Okay.
Lots of vitamin D, go out in the sun, soak up as many sun rays
Yeah,
as you can,
I need a little
and
more
change
sun. I
your
need a little
diet.
more sun. I was
Right.
noticing my head needs a little more sun. I need to get
Your head.
out.
So
All
only
right.
your head's gonna be tanned.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a little tan. All right. So I'm hoping you caught our quick fire question about Dr. Seuss's books being censored for what is being characterized as racist content. And you seem like the perfect person to ask this question. So first, do you believe his books are racist? And what are your thoughts about the censorship?
um what's funny is that when you were talking about Dr. Seuss, and in regards to racism, as a kid, I never really read too many Dr. Seuss books, to be honest with you. But I do know about them, and I do actually know that they were a bridge, and they were a sort of like a sister or connection to what back in the late 1800s, what you would call a minstrel show, when you had white Americans that were putting on black faces and they were exaggerating and going around and also drawing up pictures, of blacks with big lips and the big eyes, with the bug eyes and the big ears, and eating watermelon, and having chickens in their hand. And that pretty much was just a published, book, that was stemming actually from the minstrel shows, if you want to get technical about it.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So do you believe they should be censored? Just real quick.
Um, no, not at
Okay.
all. And the reason why I'm saying that is because these are conversations that we have to have. Why would you want to censor something that we is reality right in
Very
your
good
face
point.
every day?
Thank you. Thank you. That
I don't understand, why people get, their britches in a bunch when you see stuff like that. And oh my goodness, let's censor it. These things happen in America. These are conversations that we have to have.
yeah,
Me personally, let it stay.
yeah,
Just
talk
let
about
it
it.
stay. Just so people can be educated on the book itself and the propaganda that goes along with it, and the detailing and the history on stuff like that. Because if you don't know any history, you don't know yourself. You're just existing.
Yep. All right.
That's a
Tom,
very
I
good
see some comments online that I just want to get to real quick. So
Already.
Olivia says, "Yes, sir. Power. You started this off with power, sir." Talking to you. She also says she loves to see a melanin author. Um, uh, Lizzie Enders is telling me this is not censorship. Uh, and then Mike Winter says the same thing. Censorship is not the same thing. All right. So let me ask you this, and I'll get to the questions from our co-host. But what is your goal when you write your books? Many of the titles are pretty deep, inspiring, in some ways inflammatory to some groups of people. As you're pointing out, many atrocities of this nation, right? So, what do you
Right.
hope people will get out of reading your book?
Well, the whole American educational system has not only pretty much just misguided, our history. When we were kids, listen, when we were kids and we was going to school, most of the time we learned about American European history. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone can agree with that.
Mm.
And that's okay if you're European because now you're learning about your forefathers. You're European. I mean, it's okay to learn about George Washington and Ben Franklin and Sir Isaac Newton, and it's okay because those are their forefathers. But very rarely seen, very rarely taught. You had the curriculum of the school systems in America that teach about the greatness of blacks. They may show you Martin Luther King marching to Washington, begging, or they may show Martin Luther King getting sprayed with a water hose, Jesse Jackson. That's a different topic for a different day. But they may show things like that, but they exclude certain things out of our history that may just shock America. The knowledge I'm gonna drop on y'all today, it may sting a little bit, but the truth hurts.
Yeah, it can. It can. Um, Robbie Rock, did you have a question?
Ooh,
Uh, yeah, I've definitely got a couple of them. So while I was doing my little bit of research, I discovered that you do refer to yourself as a lifelong learner, which is an ideology that I completely embrace. And I was wondering if you could just speak to our audience about the importance of remaining a lifelong learner.
Oh, once the learning stops, look, I'm still learning. I've been doing this for 32 years. I'm still learning. So, as a learner, everything changes, daily, everything changes yearly. If you're the person that you don't need to be taught anymore, look, you don't belong on this planet. You need to be calling people earthlings, okay? Because you don't belong on this planet. You belong someplace, up in the celestial beings, okay? Because every day, everything is changing. History changes every day, every month, every year.
very
The
true.
sun comes up, it comes down, everything, including the planets, they shift. So you have to learn every day. Even when you go out in society, learning, about the government, what they entail, what they're doing, the pandemic, the COVID-19. You have to learn every day. Just to say that I'm done, there is no more learning for me to do. You don't belong on this planet.
True.
Insane.
That's true. Yanni?
Thank you.
True.
Yanni?
I actually have two questions for you. They're kind of different, but the first question I'll ask is, which one of your books would you recommend for people that are learning Black history and that are Black? Which ones? Which the yeah? Which book of yours would you recommend for them to get started?
Yeah, you know what? This was actually my sixth book. It came out last year.
Or
It's called We Were Once a Family. And what this book entails, actually, surprising history in here as far as inventors, black inventors, as far as the corn plant, the Henry Blair, the guitar was invented by Robert Fleming. A lot of people don't know that. And a lot of things people don't know as far as Louis Latimer, he invented the light bulb, the filament for the bulb. And a lot of people I know will say, "Oh no, that was Thomas. That was Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison created the shell. He
Yep.
created the light bulb, the shell, the glass. You
Mhm.
can't light the bulb without the filament. So,
Yeah.
the bulb was just it's just a Coke bottle, actually. Without the filament lighting it up. So Louis
yeah,
Latimer doesn't get his credit. And another thing also, a lot of important things that our people don't know. I'm gonna hit you with another one. William Shakespeare. Okay, I know this is gonna shock you, and I know, hey, listen, like I said, the truth hurts. William Shakespeare was a black man. I imported
Hey,
actually these pictures from a book from England.
wow.
William Shakespeare was just a black man that was living in England. That was about it. And when you go back to his neighborhood, William Shakespeare, he was around in the 1500s, 1564 to 1616 is when he died in England. And when you go back and when you go to the William Shakespeare Theater, William Shakespeare actually lived in the hood. Actually, when you go back and look at the picture of what, yeah, William Shakespeare lived in the hood. The Shakespeare Theater that's still over there in England, it's in the hood. It's actually in the hood. The story about Romeo and Juliet, that was a story, really, when you think about it, it was a story about two black kids in love. The way when you look at the play and everything, and Romeo says your skin is just as dark as the night. And it's a fun thing. Casanova was a black man. Aristotle was a black man. Here's another one. Socrates was a black man. Okay,
When
he was
you
just a
are
Socrates was just a
sorry,
black man that was living in Athens, Greece. All right. His student Aristotle, okay, he was a black man. Okay. Now this picture right here that I have in my book, okay, you can go over to Paris today, and you can see this picture still on Notre Dame Cathedral, okay, on the West End. You can still see this picture right here. And the reason why this is very important, and this is not made up. This is not made up. These are actually books, that I had imported. I've been doing this for 32 years. And the reason why it's so important is because we have to get out of that mindset, that were just we just came over to America on slave and we just was whipped, and we don't contribute and haven't contributed anything, anything to America at all. When you look up
Built
the
on
black
America.
inventors,
We built
right?
America.
Right. When you look up the black, listen, there will be no American history without black history. I mean, let's not play with this. The riding saddle, for horses, W.D. Davis. The ink pen that you have in your pocket was invented by a guy by the name of W.B. Purvis. The CCTV, that security was invented by a black woman by the name of Marie Van Brown. So anything that you can think of, the wallet was built by the Native Americans. So anything that you can actually look at through your everyday life. Look at Gladys Mae West. Don't you know that's a black lady that's still living that invented the GPS system? Nobody gives that.
I'm aware of that. Yep. The GPS, Gladys Mae West. That's right. Yep.
Right. Pencil sharpener, John Lee Love.
Yep.
Fire extinguisher, Tom Marshall.
Yep.
The shoe, W.A. Delts. So it's anything, the refrigerator, John Standard. Hey, so you got to look at these things and you say, okay, well, where does where does Steve Jobs and where does guys like Steve Jobs and the Apple owner, what's his name again? It was Steve Jobs. What is the other guy name again? Steve Jobs and the guy with the round glasses, the bifocals.
Oh,
What I'm talking about.
Yeah, from Microsoft, Bill Gates.
Bill Gates, right. Now all of a sudden, now he's a medical scientist. He's a medical.
Yeah, he knows all about COVID. Gianni, did you have another question,
right.
Gianni?
Right.
Yeah,
That's a topic for a different day.
Gianni?
I was gonna ask you about like where you get your research or where you get your information for people that want to do that for themselves. Some people like to see it for themselves. I'm one of those people. I like to know where you get your research.
Hey, listen, Gianni, you can actually, there's a such thing as called a plane, and you can travel. Go to Rome, go to Rome sometime. Go to Jerusalem sometime, and look at the paintings that are still in the cathedrals. You can go to Paris, you can go to Germany, and they still have pictures up of our forefathers being black. Listen, this is a picture right here that's still over in Rome. Okay, still over in Rome. And this is a picture that I know a lot of people, it's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. Don't you know this is a picture that's still in the Roman cathedral, okay, of Christ? These two pictures right here, okay? The man has an afro. And you got more pictures that's over there in Jerusalem, okay, of Abraham as being a dark man, okay? And let me say this too, right? The exact same way, back then, people, they actually painted what they saw. The modern day paintbrush is what, Rob? It's the camera. So back then, they actually painted what they saw. It's sort of like graffiti. Like back in the 80s, how graffiti was real big. Everybody was painting. That's the same thing that the people did back then, during the time of Christ and Solomon and Job and Noah. They painted on the walls, okay, what they saw. So the modern day paintbrush today is the camera. The same way that you'll take a picture of your mother, or you take pictures of people and you got them saved inside your phone. That's exactly what's over there in Rome and Germany, and may I dare say even Russia. Okay, you had kings over there ruling over there. You had guys in England like Charlemagne, okay, Maximilian, okay, guys like that, King Arthur. These guys were black men, okay, contrary to what Hollywood showed you. These were
Absolutely.
black men. Rob,
Yep.
look, Rob know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. He's shaking his head. He know exactly what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. As you were talking about your historical research, I was going to ask you about the Black Madonna, and you went down this rabbit hole already. And because I've studied a lot of Greek history and mythology, and the Black Madonna comes up as a theme, and that iconography exists everywhere, but it's been appropriated. It's like blonde-eyed, blue-eyed Jesus makes people feel very comfortable, but he was from the Middle East.
Yeah.
Rob, let me tell
He
you,
looked more like Neo than he looked like me.
Rob, let me tell you something. You're a very
When I
smart
had
man.
hair. When I had hair.
You had hair, right? Hey Rob, let me tell you something. You're a very smart man, and I can respect that. Okay. Now this is one of my books that actually I got an award from. It's called Uncovering the Evil America. And Rob, you hit on something. Inside this book, okay, I have pictures of the popes, okay, of Rome, okay, in Vatican City, bowing down to a picture of Christ and Mary as being dark-skinned people. Okay, and you can go to the Vatican City and you can visit this, and all the popes of Rome, they understand that Christ and Mary were people of color. All right, they understand that. This is another picture, okay, of the Russian leader. Okay, he carries around, okay, Mary and Christ, okay, as black people. These are, listen, you can still go over to Russia today and you can find black images over there, and there's all reasons behind that, for, of course, Rob, for white supremacy, okay, and white dominance. Like you said, the blue long hair, the blonde hair, and the blue eyes. That is a man, Gianni. His name is Caesar Borgia. You can write that down. You can look him up. He was the second born son of Pope Alexander VI of Rome, in which you had guys like Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and Rembrandt. What they did during the 1400s, with Josiah, okay, what they did during the 1400s, which is known as the Renaissance period. And the Renaissance, Rob, okay, you're a study guy. The Renaissance period means to rebirth, redo, or renew. And what they was doing during this time, they was taking down and whitewashing all the black art, and they was actually redoing everything, okay, with white art. Look, when you go over to Italy, take a plane over to Italy. Okay, they got some of the best libraries. They got some of the best libraries, ancient libraries over there. Go to Italy. Okay, the statues over there, they look brand new. They look like they just built them. But when you go places like Egypt and certain parts, okay, of the earth, you'll notice that all the black statues, the noses are chipped off, the cheekbones are chipped off, the paintings are scraped off.
Mhm.
They did that for a reason.
All right, Jose, do you have a question? I want to get a question in
Why
from you.
don't she do? She's been waiting.
She's been patient.
Thank you. I just want to say that in the friendliest way possible that I creeped you today. I am an avid reader and I am part of Goodreads. So I went on there and of course I clicked that I read all of your books. And I just want to read comments that I found about some of your books. For the 500 years of American deception, unmentioned secrets, world history, some explores the true history of America that should be told in schools. Most schools teach lies based on what most Americans would like to be true. However, if you go beyond the school textbook, you will find true history the author has discussed.
Correct.
Another one is we're a family, the disappearance of Black soul and cult your book. I have heard authors work in the past and research brilliance gets better and better. I have learned a lifetime of knowledge.
Unfortunately, I think your internet's a little bit choppy for some reason. It's a little bit choppy. Let me it's hard to hear you, so let me get to a different question.
Okay.
So what are your top selling titles, Frank?
We Once Were a Family. The new one actually that I just came out with is called Oh Say Can You See? The unmentioned history on terrorism on blacks. Look, slavery. Listen, slavery was the biggest terrorist act that was committed on any people on this planet. You know, you're talking about all the way from the late 1500s all the way through the early or the late 1800s. You know, that was the biggest, you know, terrorism act that was committed on this planet.
Yep.
You know, nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody seems to be interested in that, you know, or they want to water it down, you know, and say, you know, different things and, you know, that didn't exist. And, you know, come on, you know, give me a break. You know,
I
come
think we
on.
got,
You know,
I think we got Jose's back up. She's a little smoother now. Go ahead, Jose. Finish what you're
okay.
saying.
All right. So essentially, it seems like your words are very powerful. And I want to see what was an early experience where you learned that language, and not only just language, but your language and your writing had power.
As far as what do you mean, like as far as when did I come into this?
When did you come into this? And I've just noticed that a lot of people speak very highly of you as an author about your teachings. So your words have power. When did you
Right.
realize that what you were writing was very powerful?
Oh, I got you. You know, I wrote one of my first books I wrote was called Not Just a Coincidence. And that book had garnered so many sales and it had garnered so much attention that in less than a year, I think the book probably sold maybe over 8 to 9,000 copies in less than a year. Amazon gave me a nice call. They wrote me a nice letter and said, we're going to have to take your book out of the catalog, out of our catalog for reasons.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, this was a long
Strange.
time ago.
Okay.
And you know, I've been going back and forth with them about this for about the last past maybe 10 years, Josiah. You know, and you know, so many people spoke positively about that book, as far as the content that's in it, because it was just basically giving the reasons why, you know, everything that we see, you know, as Black Americans, you know, even when we step out our door, why do you got that guy on the corner selling drugs? You know, why we once during the time, you know, of segregation, why aren't we like that anymore? Like, what happened to all the Black banks? What happened to all the Black communities? So it answers a lot of questions, and it was a very good conversation piece, you know, that really woke up a lot of people. So even to this day, for some strange reason, they will not put that book back out there. You know, it's a, you know, go figure. I'm gonna call them
Wow.
tonight, as a matter of fact.
You should get it out there. So we do have some comments online,
Absolutely.
and I just want to get those, read
Well,
some of
thank
those
you.
off to you.
And thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Yeah, great question, Jose.
Thank
So
Thank
you.
you.
I
Cherry Blaine
love
Priest
your
says,
energy.
I agree with Frank. Uh, let it stay. We need to discuss and talk, talking about Dr. Seuss.
Oh yeah.
Let's see, Olivia says, yes, even in college, art school, art history, chronologically, history courses starts in Europe chronologically. That couldn't even be possible. I had to learn my own African history. Fact. Jacqueline Robbins says they're trying to rewrite history by claiming that Africans came to these shores as migrants in search of a better life. Randy Carr says, let's not forget Thomas Sowell, a brilliant mind. Um, Colette says, hello, Jose. And let's see, we have Lizzie Enders, one of our other co-hosts, says, I just want to say it should not be assumed that we are not well-traveled or well-read. Got to put that out there. A question about research is simply inquiring about someone's research. Shouldn't be an assumption about someone's background. So, all right, Frank, we
Oh,
are running out of time. So, is there any
I
last
didn't
word?
quite get that one either, Gianni. I didn't quite get that one either. I didn't take that as an offense, Gianni. You just asked
yeah,
a very
yeah.
intelligent question.
I think she's defensive of me. But she was I think that she yeah, I think that it was read differently. Like, because when I was asking you about where you get your research specifically, and it's true, like traveling and kind of like seeing it for yourself, like in experience. So
Libraries. People forget about libraries. There's a such thing as called the library that people just don't even visit anymore.
Definitely.
yeah,
All right.
I'm a library
that's
rat.
true.
So I just want to give you a few minutes to say any last words, anything you want to tell people where to find you, where to find your books. We do have, again, we do have the link in our description to your books on Amazon. But yeah, please feel free to share anything you'd like to share.
Hey, listen, I appreciate you guys. Number one, all praise to the Most High. I appreciate that. Thank you for having me. And just one last thing. You can reach me. You can email me at zaaqan1212 at yahoo.com, and you can email me. And I'm not that kind of person that won't email you back. And if you want to ask any question, you can. Absolutely. I got a Black History School in Raleigh, located at 817 New Bern Avenue. We open on Saturdays from 3 o'clock until 6. You'll learn more there in a couple hours than you have in 4 years in college. Trust me when I tell you.
Well, that's amazing. All
Wow.
right, again, check out his books. Click that link. Frank Jordan, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you
Thank you guys
having us.
for having me.
All right,
Thank you.
we'll see you again soon. All right,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Frank,
Pretty
you've
good
been a
guess.
great guest to have during Black History Month.
Yeah, we
I
couldn't book him in Black
know.
History Month, so we got him the first date after Black History. We were so booked up for February. We had a lot of people in February, so it's yeah. So we did get him in the next show right after Black History Month.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into